So, as we get started here, dudes, the absolute elephant in the room that I think we should definitely be talking about here to start off the day is everything that's happened with Kurt and EA Sports. And I would really like to give my proper thoughts on this, but an overhead view of what's happened here with now EA having striked Kurt's channels on YouTube and Twitch. EA banning Kurt obviously as the first step from professional tournaments, and now EA going to the next step where they publicly tweeted via their EA official account. That is how deep Kurt went in terms of shaking up the organization, to the point where if I can find it for you guys, they publicly tweeted, unless they deleted it. I don't know that they would have deleted something like that. I'd love to pull it up for you guys here real quick. So I believe they publicly tweeted right here, saying, in November 2019, after a series of code of conduct violations as part of EA's FIFA Global Series in which he threatened employees and other players, Kurt was banned from competing or attending any EA Sports FIFA 20 Global Series events or future competitions. Since that time, Kurt has continued to post abusive and threatening messages and videos about EA employees and competitive players on social media, and he's encouraged others to do the same. His messages have crossed the line of decency into very personal attacks and a breach of our terms of service. Will not tolerate threatening behavior. As a result, today's EA account will be banned from playing our games and accessing our services due to these serious repeated violations. Then they go on to say, we build games and communities for players to have fun. Okay, so I'm not going to go too deep into this because I want to talk about Kurt and what's going on with EA. But this is where we know that this is all just lawyers and, marketing potentially, because we all know if they built this game for fun, there wouldn't be dynamic difficulty adjustments in the game to screw over the guy that's winning. They'd actually work on fixing button delay. They'd work on fixing gameplay. They would take out celebrations and forced replays within their competitive game mode. If this game was built to have fun, someone that quits on someone at 0-0 after they concede a penalty, EA would have coded it into the game that the person that's still in the game that was about to take the pen would have got the win. They have everything coded in the game so that guy gets the loss, so all your players have fitness loss, so all your players lose contracts, but you don't get the win, you don't get the result. So if they cared in the slightest about building this game for fun, they would be fixing an ungodly amount of things. They could care less about fun. It's all about money. Let's be real, right? We all know that. Kurt called them out on that. I've been calling them out on that for 6+ years. This is like, this part here is the part that I want to address, because I think this is the part that's very important. So nevertheless, EA tweeted this, and then obviously I responded to it, and everybody else responded to it, and everybody else had their 2 cents worth of conversation. So I basically started off with a point of, why not speak with him directly, resolve the issues at hand. Kurt is a massive asset to this game and community. Silencing and banning him or anyone else is absolutely the wrong way of going about it. How will FIFA ever improve if we cannot criticize what is wrong with the game? Now, where we stand here is that Kurt is, in my opinion, the biggest FIFA streamer we have. Kurt has been doing, and YouTube is something else. YouTube is a different nut to crack, if you will. But if you want to talk about live entertainment, look, this is my job. I've been doing Twitch live streams for 6 years, coming up on 7 years straight as my job. And I am humbly able to admit that in every sense of the word, Kurt is by far and away a better entertainer than me, a better FIFA player than me, and better than anybody else that's doing it right now in terms of his entertainment value, his style of play, his funny criticisms, his trolling. Kurt gets mad at a game and I get jealous at how he deals with the anger. He starts trolling around, he starts laughing and saying he can't believe this stuff. He gets up, he walks away. Whereas with me, I genuinely just get very angry and things get more toxic and negative. Whereas with him, he can turn it around and most of the time win those games anyways, etc., etc. So long story short, Kurt, to me, I don't care who you want to bring up, is absolutely the most entertaining face in this industry when it comes to live streaming. Hashtag Harry is up there as well. I find him very, very good. Same reason. He's got a great personality and he's got professional player level abilities. I think Tex is another one that's very entertaining and up there. So Kurt has a lot of I would say guys that are similar to him in terms of their entertainment value. Nevertheless, Kurt is number one. And I think, as we've all seen, when you get to that number one spot, your influence, your words carry greater weight. And I genuinely feel, as you can see here, that EA absolutely, whether they felt threatened or whether they felt like, okay, no, this is something we definitely need to deal with. He has far too big of a following. Something went on in the higher echelons of EA for them to come down this hard on Kurt. And the scary thing is here, and what worries me, not just for Kurt, but selfishly, for the entire community, but specifically those of us that have been criticizing EA from the beginning, Nepenthes, Run the FUT Market, myself, there's a few others out there as well, but I genuinely start thinking, well, am I next? Am I going to be attacked next here? Like, I have a history of being attacked by EA. 2013 and 2014, I was a much more toxic proponent of things being good in FIFA, and I went about it in a relatively toxic way as well. So I always have those concerns for myself too. The difference is, and I hope for most other content creators it's the same thing, that this shouldn't stop you from criticizing the game. EA truly win here if this scares off every content creator from properly critiquing the things that EA do wrong. Now, I personally think, unfortunately, because EA is such a big company and they have the legal backing to do stuff like this, you do need to criticize them, but criticize them as a chess player. And that's one thing after 6 or 7 years of being a content creator that I've learned, and I have passed on to Kurt, I've passed on to other people. I've made a lot of mistakes in my past, where I have been personally attacked by EA, where I find it absolutely hilarious here that they post in this tweet here, they post in this tweet that he's sending threatening messages or attacking EA employees, where I was personally singled out and attacked by EA employees. Not just by a community manager who disliked me and wanted to call me out to get some clout on Twitter way back in 2013 and 2014. I got attacked by like higher up devs that personally went at me as well. So I find it kind of funny that 5 or 6 years down the road, they're claiming that, you know, someone personally attacking their employees is now worthy of being banned. What about your own employees that have been doing that for years? What about your employees that still to this day shut down any deal that NEP tries to do with a football organization purely because they don't like NEP? So they, as a petty move, go and stop the business deals. I've had business deals be stopped with football teams because EA will go to the source and say, hey, you can't work with this content creator, do it with this or whatever. So I understand no one should ever be personally attacked. That's fair. That is fair. But I do think EA got to like get themselves in order before they start coming down on someone else that they see isn't doing something right. I mean, they should be looking within their own ranks as well as to what's going on there. So that's my first thought essentially on this whole making personal attacks on people. Without a shadow of a doubt, that's wrong. I don't agree that attacking someone personally is the way to go about it, but it also is a two-sided, you know, cookie, if you will. EA shouldn't be attacking content creators single-handedly, just as much as content creators shouldn't be single-handedly attacking EA employees. So I just wanted to get that, you know, get that out there for you guys. So the concern here is, for any content creator, is that they're going to look at something like this and be like, well, my income revolves massively around EA Ultimate Team, EA FIFA. Whether you're a career mode YouTuber, whether you're a pro clubs YouTuber, or like 98% of YouTubers and streamers out there, whether you're an Ultimate Team player, this was done as a strong-armed approach to put doubt in most content creators' minds about what, where, and how they critique EA and what they do. And look, I am a massive fan of Kurt. I'm a massive fan on him calling out the flaws in everything that EA do, in gameplay, in them going backwards on certain patches, and certain patches being terrible, in certain things in certain parts of the game being wrong. I fully agree with that stuff, and I back up that stuff. I think the concern here is, and I'm genuinely like distraught that they would go to this level to silence him. I genuinely feel like this would have been the route to go. I think if EA sat down with Kurt clearly, and don't sit there and write in the comments or write in my Twitch chat if you're watching this live, whatever it is, don't sit there and say, oh, he's not that big of a deal to EA. Why would they want to sit down and personally talk to him? Look, use your brain. If there's anything I say that makes you upset, please, before like retaliating and writing abuse in the comment section, pause what I'm saying in the video, go back and listen to it again, and trust me, it will make sense. I've spent a lot of time thinking about how I wanted to talk about this, and I'm hoping that I can structure it in a way that makes a lot of sense to you guys. You cannot say that EA doesn't mean a lot, or Kurt doesn't mean a lot to EA, when their actual main corporate account, not FIFA account, their main corporate account publicly tweeted about this. So he definitely has a massive effect on not just FIFA, it turns out, but the entire EA organization. So having understood this route, to me, with the pull that Kurt has, with the effect that Kurt has on the game and the community itself, this to me is just going to spark more tensions and more hate and more anger. And that's, I would hope from EA, not what they want to do. I've been saying this for months, weeks, years, that it seems like EA and the guys within EA want to build this bridge between the community and break the community apart. You know, EA fanboys and game changers, and then they build this bridge around like the hardcores and guys that aren't, and then content creators that aren't part of the Game Changer network. And instead of working to bring us all together, they seem to put these roadblocks and stumbling blocks within everything that they do to constantly build apart these two entities when we should be working together. Look, you guys that are hardcore players that love the game, you shouldn't feel animosity or upsetness towards a content creator that's being paid and flown around the world and by EA. You shouldn't. What you should be doing is like, wow, you know what? That's cool. Like, awesome. Good for him. I would love to do something like that. But you don't feel that, do you? You don't. You absolutely don't. And likewise, EA Game Changers shouldn't be felt to have some sort of animosity towards me or Run the FUT Market or NEP or Kurt, but there is, inevitably, because of the way EA structure and build out the community, and they have successfully divided the community when, for this game to progress, for the community to get out of this toxic mess that it's in, they need to be linking things together and having these conversations together. That's the only way that this game and this community progresses forward. So this step right here from EA, where EA banned Kurt outright, like his FUT founder account, where undoubtedly this year I know he spent, you know, thousands of dollars on FIFA 20 to build up his team to compete in games. The year before he did the same, the year before. He's got a FUT account that he's probably spent God knows how much money on and how much time. And then further on in his career and streaming and YouTube career, advertising the game for EA essentially to his, you know, millions of viewers, and they just banned it outright. So to me, the correct step would have been, considering he's this important to them, maybe I'm not, so them having a meaningful one-on-one conversation with me might not be the same because I don't have as much clout as someone like Kurt does, especially in this instance. But with him, I'm shocked that they didn't sit down with him. And if I was EA, what I would have done, and if I was Kurt's friend, like I would consider myself acquaintances with Kurt. I don't know if he likes me or dislikes me or agrees or disagrees with what I do as a person or what I do in Ultimate Team, but you can't deny that I'm one of the people that wants this game to be better. I'm one of the content creators that puts my neck out to be chopped off by EA regularly or other content creators regularly because I'm bad for business. How many, content creators have gone around telling other content creators that, oh, Nick 2018, don't talk to him, he's bad for business. He's not a good person to associate with, which has even furthered me down on an island on my own in terms of people who I interact with, right? So I would assume that Kurt totally understands that I'm that guy. I mean, even before I knew anything was happening, before I knew that Zaro's account was hacked, when they publicly tweeted that they were reinstating him and bringing him back, I DM'd Zaro. I've talked to Zaro a little bit here and there via DMs. I DM'd him saying, dude, that is a great move. Good job that you guys are talking to Kurt and getting things sorted out. And I had no idea it was hacked. And then the hacker publicly like put me on, well, didn't put me on blast, but publicly posted like, hey, we're glad you're supporting Kurt or whatever, right? So even before I had any idea, like I've always been a champion for Kurt and for any pro player that speaks out about the game. Tass and Gorilla and all these guys that are willing to call the game on its crap. Dude, the happiest thing I ever saw this weekend was the clip of Tex in an interview saying that the game wasn't fun to play, etc. And to be fair to Tex, that's not the first time he said that. Last year, if you guys are fans of Tex or the pro scene or wanting the pro scene to get better, Tex, I think, was in an interview. It might have been Tex, it might have been Tass, might have been Gorilla. But he was in an interview and he basically ended up saying like, I don't play this game until champs or until pro events because this game sucks, essentially. So Tex has done the right thing for a while. So I've always been a champion for those guys. Those guys are the most important people in this community. It's of my opinion that people that are willing to constructively, and unfortunately have to be very tactical, but people that are willing to constructively criticize EA on the highest platform, whether it's Run the FUT Market with his massive audience and his trading audience on YouTube, etc., whether it's Nep and his massive audience, whether it's Kurt and his massive audience for the pro scene, whoever it is, you know, me, Tex, Gorilla, that is so important for the scene because whether you agree or disagree with whatever content creator I mentioned, whether you think, oh, well, you know, Run the FUT Market, sure, he criticizes, you know, the game and stuff, but he trades on his account 6 to 8 hours a day and then streams to people while playing the game. How's the game going to get better if he's still advertising this game to millions? Or same thing. Oh, Nick 2018 talks about the game, but he's on his Poor Man Road to Glory 12 hours a day. He's advertising people playing the game 12 hours a day or whatever, you know, this person or, oh, this pro player criticizes the game, you know, whoever it is, but he spent $10,000 on the game to build a team. So whatever your thoughts are on any person I've mentioned here, whatever their system is, whether they're a trader, whether they run a Poor Man Road to Glory, whether they run a rich man account, you need to get past that and you need to appreciate the fact that people that are at the forefront of the community are critiquing what is wrong with the game. That cannot stop. What you see here, this message should not strike fear into people in terms of what they should or should not say. The only thing I want to comment here, and I'm going to be honest because I don't like, what makes me so upset is EA put a blanket statement out here. Since that time, Kurt has continued to post abusive and threatening messages and videos about EA employees, etc. I do not have the time to go back and have a open, unbiased look at everything Kurt has done that they are talking about here. And I would have appreciated that if this is this important to EA, that they would have given all the examples of what he's done so me or anybody else or Kurt himself can look at it and be like, you know what? Look, I have a problem with this game, but I really shouldn't have said that. Or I can look at it and be like, you know what, man? I did the exact same thing here, you know, years ago and EA banned me as well. Like, you know what? It's unfortunate. I see where Kurt's coming from, but because EA is a business, maybe he should have constructed it different. But I don't know. I have no idea where and what he did. It's such a blanket statement. And the problem is, once again, EA are working with smoke and mirrors. And what are they doing? People that are fans of other content creators or don't like Kurt or are part of the Game Changer Network or are part of the crew of people that just like FIFA and whatever or don't like Kurt are just like, yeah, see? Look at what he did wrong. Oh, he deserves to be banned. And then unfortunately, down the other side, my side, Kurt's side, Run the FUT Market side, hopefully all of your guys' side, we all look at this and think, can you walk us through what he did? What and where and how and who and what he did? Because that would help clear the air and give us all an understanding as to, okay, we want this game to be better, but clearly there's a line and EA are shutting people down if and when and how they cross it. But it's also slightly worrying that they don't define what this line is with actual proof. They just put a line there and say, well, you've crossed it, you're now gone. And to me, I find that very concerning on multiple levels. Now, I will say, if there is video out there of Kurt or anybody else in 2020 onwards, let's just say from today onwards, personally attacking an EA employee, whether you call them, you know, a dumbass, a cunt, a bum. What I've always said, and this was my advice to anybody that is willing to take on EA to try and make this game better. What I've always said is you have to try and avoid the personal moves on people, and you have to look at the company as an entity as a whole. And let me explain to why, in terms of my experiences of 6 years of taking on and criticizing EA, and at the start of my career not doing it very well and being banned for it. You have to do it as an entity. You have to do it as an entity, okay? And what I mean by that is, if you have a problem with what the EA communications team is doing, or someone within the EA communications team, it is of my experience that it's better to just call out the EA communications team as an entity. Same thing. If you have a problem with how the game is developed, or the game is run, or the latest patches, you call out the EA dev team. That's the route that you need to go. Same thing, if you don't agree with the content, and I have been really irritated at how EA have gone and purposely nerfed the people that aren't willing to spend FIFA points on the game. They've nerfed how we can grind the game. I've been calling it out for this entire year, man. The fact that they've reduced the players that come out of these. Last year, these were all 88 rated players. These are now lower rated players. That doesn't allow you to craft other SBCs. The fact that every single one of these leagues and teams now have completely nerfed packs. All of these packs, even the lower league packs, were good packs. So I've had a huge problem with EA's content team. I've also had a massive problem with EA's gameplay team. But I found, and this is just advice for anybody in the future that wants to critique the game, you should never feel like you can't critique the game. And if you want to say, oh, fuck this, and you guys are donkeys and whatever, that's fine. In the heat of the moment, I hope EA knows that in the heat of the moment of gameplay, you calling EA donkeys and EA morons and EA idiots and all of this stuff, they know that it's in the heat of the moment. It's like a gamer anger, if you will. And most importantly is legally, as far as what I've seen, they can't go in on you if you sit there and critique a department. What is concerning and what is unfortunate is Kurt, because I haven't seen proof of any of it. I'm sorry, I don't really pay attention to a lot of FIFA YouTube videos. I don't pay attention to a lot of FIFA streams. So unfortunately, with this part of the video, if you will, I'm just kind of like out of the loop in terms of exactly what and how Kurt did this and what and how Kurt did that. Because honestly, as I've said a million times this year, FIFA 20 sucks. I still am addicted to this game. I still play this game, but I am so far removed from my passion of FIFA Ultimate Team. It's all about money, really. I just, you keep the bags coming in. So I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that on the accounts. And it's the only game I enjoy playing. I can still admit that FIFA 20 sucks, but unfortunately, it's the only game I really enjoy playing. I feel like if I gave up on FIFA 20, I wouldn't be doing anything. I wouldn't upload to YouTube. I probably wouldn't stream very much. And if I did stream very much, it would be what? Me working out on 240p quality. So that point aside, I feel like the only issue here, and it's I don't know how to put this, because again, people that just want to hear what they want to hear and ignore what I'm going to say are just going to, go crazy and ignore the last 10 minutes of the things I've described. The problem is here, I think, is Kurt misjudged EA's pettiness and EA's resolve to find a reason to ban him. And because as I said, I don't have the video proof in front of me, if he did indeed personally attack, like if he said something about one of the devs specifically and went in on that person, or he said something specifically about this person or that person, I think, unfortunately, that is a chess move where he just got himself checkmated by EA. Unfortunately, went too aggressive into the chess move, and EA are like, well, you've said something personal about our employer, and because of the terms of service, we can now take you down because of it. And honestly, man, I feel so bad for Kurt. I really do. If you genuinely think he wants to threaten or attack any of the personal EA employees, come on, man. Really? I know that's not the case. It's entertainment value. It's his way of just calling out people and being a bit of a troll. And let's be real. Thank God, Dr. Disrespect, someone that I'm very good friends with, doesn't have that problem with the game developers that he works with. For those of you guys that are fan of Dr. Disrespect, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch, he has made a career out of shitting on developers by name, companies by name. H1Z1 fans, remember when Doc would always scream, "Ark, you scumbag, this, that." Ark was Ark Legger, genuinely a developer and a builder and a coder for H1Z1. Same thing with PUBG. Same thing. I mean, my God, the things he said about PUBG developers, Blue Balls Entertainment, and then going in on PlayerUnknown, the actual person, the guy that developed PUBG. So therein is the problem. And it's unfortunate that as FIFA players and content creators, we have to play by different rules than other streamers and content creators that play other games. But this is where we stand. And that is what is unfortunate and why it breaks my heart for Kurt, because he's doing the same thing that Doc, Summit, Ninja, anybody else has done with other games to other employees or other companies, and those people are all still playing those games. And ironically, all those other games are improving and 10 times better than this game we're playing. This game shuts down that type of critiquing, and sure, as a business, as a corporation, if you want to be on EA's side and you say, it's not good to attack EA employees personally, I just agree in general that you shouldn't be attacking someone personally. That's not my style. Now, again, if you agree or disagree with EA's standpoint or with what I'm saying, that's fine. I'm just of the personal thought process that it's better and it's more constructive to attack a EA department. Because here's another standpoint, right? If you attack a certain guy at EA, right? And he's your and your community's physical embodiment of everything that's wrong with the game. I pose this final question to you. Where do you stand to make a change when that guy, who at a big company like EA is not going to be in his position for long? That's just the way the business world works. Where do you stand when you've built your entire fronted attack on this one person or two people or whatever it is, and they move jobs or they disappear, and now it's a new person into that community management role or into that developer role? So that's the other reason as to why I think as a community, we should have no fear of critiquing what EA does wrong, but we got to move away from personally attacking another human being, because at the end of the day, these guys at EA are just doing a job. And if you think that it's, a guy that got added into the content team that's making these changes to make the game horrible, or it's a community manager that's doing things to make the game horrible, it's so much higher. It's so much higher up the corporate ladder than that, bros. It really is. And as given by perfect example from the EA official account posting about this goes so much higher than I actually honestly thought it would. So my only advice to those of you guys out there, if you want to keep critiquing the game, I think you have every right to, whether you are someone that might watch my content, whether you're someone that's on Reddit, whether you're someone that's on the forums, God help you, because the forums and the mods there are just mind-blowingly just shut down free speech in any way, shape, or form. I gave up on the forums in 2012. I can only imagine how bad it is now. Anyways, critique the game. But I implore you, for the future of your critiques and for your displeasure of what's going on in the game to go farther, critique a department, not the employees within the department, because those employees will leave and then you're left with I got to start all over again with this new employee. Whereas if you can publicly critique the marketing department, when they do these, come July, guess what? Everybody's going to be talking about FIFA and FIFA 21 and all these amazing changes. Well, where's the marketing team right now? Hey guys, where are you guys right now? Where's the people that in June and July and August were telling us all of these amazing things that we're going to change for FIFA 20 and all this live communication and discussions? Where is that all now? This game is a dumpster fire in terms of gameplay, servers, connections, patches, attacking, overbroken mechanics in terms of one depth, drop back, overload, ball side, get forward, stamina not being anything, defensive stats meaning nothing, physical stats meaning... This game is a dumpster fire. So where are all those guys that said that they would fix the game and that this game would have a live cycle just like a Fortnite, just like, you know, would be taking community feedback. So I have a big problem with those lies that were fed to us in June, July, and August. My problem is I think it makes more sense to go at their marketing department or their communications department instead of going at one guy, because I can promise you those guys that made those promises, that department that made those promises, it's not those guys that just said, screw this community. This is done. FIFA 20 is done. We made all our money. Team of the Year FIFA points, everything. We've earned billions. We don't need to do nothing from here. It's not them. I guarantee you those employees that said that stuff want this game and want to keep communicating to you guys, but they're employees. They're trying to earn a living to put food on the table for their family. And at the end of the day, they have to answer to the higher ups, the ones that are really the ones pulling the strings, who probably went down to the department and said, hey guys, don't worry about putting, you know, this department's time and effort into all of this stuff. You guys, you know, you're costing us $5 million a month to do all of this stuff for this department. Start pushing towards, here's FIFA 21 now. That's where our shareholders, etc., want to be. And then all of these guys, they're not going to go out in public and say, hey, this is what's happening. I can't do this. They just get fired. And at the end of the day, I know you guys want everybody to be this white knight or knight in shining armor. I get it. But sometimes guys got to put food on the table for their families. So long story short, I'm heartbroken. I'm disappointed at the way EA went about banning Kurt. Again, if he's this much of an influence on this community, which he is, and EA have clearly shown by once again doing all this stuff from their public EA account, I think if they had a open dialogue discussion with Kurt, and EA, if you do watch this, I know a lot of the EA employees watch my streams and watch some of my content. A lot of the things I've asked for in terms of content have slowly started coming out in FIFA 20, so that makes me feel good. A lot of the gameplay stuff that I've been begging for and talking directly with gameplay devs for the last 2 or 3 years have absolutely not come out, so that's also disappointing. But nevertheless, if you guys do watch this content, EA, I implore you, for the future of this game, for the future of the ecosystem of this game, not just because I respect Kurt, I like Kurt, I want Kurt to succeed. I was so impressed to see his meteoric rise on Twitch, and purely by gameplay and quality and entertainment, and I want to see that keep going. Our stream community needs someone as entertaining as him to carry the reins, because to be fair, EA, your gameplay this year sucks, and we need people like him. And I hope you don't start shutting me down and run the FUT market down as well, because I think we need people in this community like that. That's number one. Number two, though, is as he is so important to you, sit down with him, EA. He's massive. Whether you like it or not, whether other content creators like to admit it or not, Kurt is massive, period. There's no more discussion beyond that. Whether you don't like how he's a troll, whether you think he's too egotistical, whether you think he is too toxic in terms of attacking EA employees, which I haven't seen any proof of, but if those are your thoughts, sit down with the guy. Sit down with the guy and be like, all right, let's have a discussion here. You know, you are a massive asset to our game. You advertise this game in front of 5,000, 10,000 live viewers all the time. We want to have that pull, and you having that viewership pull will keep people playing our game. So we want that to go on. But Kurt, you need to understand this, and this. If you have problems with the game, look, you know, so such and such content creators, maybe they don't, you know, whatever. Maybe they don't criticize our game, whatever. They're not going to admit stuff like that, obviously. But they could go basically without saying like, hey, you can criticize the game, but you can't go in on certain employees. It's just wrong, and we have to make a stand as a corporation. We have to stand behind our employees. It's our legal duty, you know? And if they did that, now, unfortunately, I'm sure Kurt would still be pissed off and would still say like, wow, really? So these employees here that do all this, what Kurt thinks is all the bad stuff and whatever, I can't call them out on it. It's unfortunate that maybe that would be the case, but at least we could still have Kurt's voice in this community, and he could still call out all the stuff. And I would love for Kurt to do everything he does and to call out the rats and call out the bums, but just keep it to the level of the department itself, because clearly he's ruffled a lot of feathers, and going in personally on certain people as a corporation, I just think it's going to be an L, as they've shown. So my chess piece move and advice for Kurt would always to be critical and be yourself and do everything that, never change yourself for, you know, the improvement of the game. But unfortunately, EA are EA, and they flexed their legal muscle here and used, you know, what we still don't know, in terms of personal attacks as an excuse to say he broke terms of service. And here, let's end this discussion right here on this scary note. It pains me to say this, and I've said this a million times to my viewer base, but EA have within their terms of service, if you read the fine print, that you agree to the fact that FIFA Ultimate Team and every single cent or dime that you spend is essentially leased. It's not yours. It's not your account. It's all leased from EA. And because of that, they have within their rights, within their own terms of service, to delete, ban, shut down your account, my account, anybody's account whenever they see fit, because it's their game and they have it within their terms of service legally shown to you guys that you agree that this isn't your account. You're just loaning the account from EA. And that, unfortunately, is the reality and the scariness of participating in an EA sports game, specifically Ultimate Team, is that the deeper you dig into the company and into Ultimate Team itself and its terms of service and all of that stuff, the scarier it gets. So I love you guys. I love Kurt. I love everything he represents for this community. I love FIFA Ultimate Team. I love football. I love card collecting. I love this entire industry. As much as I will constantly say FIFA 20 gameplay sucks and this game is a hot steaming pile of ass, I love it all still so much, which is why I'm still on this account every single day and why I've been doing it for 6+ years. I just want to see what's best and the best out of this game, absolutely. And I know Kurt wanted to see the same thing. So in closing, I hope that EA rethinks all of this and that they essentially free Kurt and they have a dialogue with him and a discussion with him and an open dialogue. How amazing would it be is if a couple of devs and EA guys did a live stream, unedited, obviously all live, and sat down with Kurt and went through all the things and let him hash out what his thought processes are and let EA hash out what their thought processes are. And it would give us as a community a proper understanding of their thought process. And then it gives Kurt a platform where he can defend the things that he's talking about. So I love you guys. I really hope this isn't the beginning of the end for Ultimate Team and for our community and for people being critical of the game. I'm a little bit scared that it might be. But here's hoping we can come to a proper conclusion.